You mean this one?
That's not it.
David just turned around his whiteboard and wow. It was sort of like California if you kicked it really hard.
No, that's a French fry.
I was trying to do the S that everyone like wrote on their school
It's
table.
a crinkly fry. Oh, that's not even close. Wait, you don't know how to do that one?
I don't know how to do it.
Oh, that's so easy.
I never really know how to
Just
do
go
it.
like this.
Show me live.
It kind of
Okay,
looks like
3. Wait,
Squidward's
I want
house.
to learn how to do this.
Oh,
Okay,
I can't believe I'm teaching you. This
One-
is formative. And then
Marquez
go like
just
this.
drew 3 lines with 3 vertical lines with 3 vertical lines below it. He then connected the 2 outer bottom and 2 outer top lines.
I do the inside first.
Yeah, I've always been an inside first kind of guy.
That's it.
That's it?
No, it's not it.
No,
You have
that's
to
not
connect
it.
the
Yeah,
sides.
you're missing 2.
Yeah.
Bada boom.
Well, you just connect. Oh, they just go inside of itself.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
Well,
not
that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, what is up, people of the internet? Welcome back to another episode of the Waveform podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marquez.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm David.
And this week, we're back with, there's a whole bunch of different phone topics all across the board. Triple folding phones, phone colors, phone rumors, nuclear charging phones, all kinds of weird stuff like that. And we also got some fun YouTube chat as well. It's a good time. But first, we can wrap up Pixel 9 week. The reviews are out. Everyone's tested the phones now. David, you're using the 9 Pro still.
9 Pro Pink.
Rose quartz.
My watch later playlist looks crazy right now.
There's a bunch, so we're recording this on Wednesday when the reviews got wrapped up and published by the skin of our teeth, too. That video finished rendering like half an hour before the embargo. It was great.
Yeah.
But now it's out, and we can kind of go over our final thoughts, which are, well, I really like them. I think they're really good phones. I think the hardware is finally up to snuff 90% of the way there. I say that because if you put it next to an S24 Ultra, you can still see slightly thinner bezels and slightly better material, but I give it 90% of the way there. And the hardware and the software, is also really good. A lot of interesting AI features. You can take it or leave it, use some of them if you like them, just not use the ones you don't care about. So it's a good phone.
Yeah.
They are more expensive, and I think they are justified.
Super Bender vibes on the back. That's all I could think of watching the entire time.
Aesthetics.
It's just like, I think it's the fact that the bean is slightly to the left, so it looks like it's like a 45-degree angle. I knew Alice would like that.
my
Did I lose my mic?
No.
Did I lose my headphones?
You better go catch
Can
it.
you hear me?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Testing.
But do you hear us?
Yeah.
So you hear
Okay,
our
wait, now
mics?
I feel like now I hear.
You hear our
I
microphone?
think I just had a stroke.
AMD?
testing. I don't know what happened.
You were talking about Bender.
I think it looks like Bender at like a 45-degree angle because like the bean is kind of to the left.
I feel like that's a sign of an age divide where like past a certain age you see Bender, younger than a certain age you see Among Us.
I can't call it Among Us because we already called the phone Among Us, so
Many
that's why I
phones that
feel
look
like
Among Us at this point.
it does have. It is very.
It is
Among
very
Us.
sus.
I can shed
That's
some
what
light
I'd
on some things that I didn't say in the review, which are I've been using the S24 Ultra as my daily phone since like January, since it came out. I'm fully now on the black Pixel 9 Pro XL. And I've also dropped it already. I dropped it from counter height onto bathroom tile. And
Nice.
when I dropped it, this was before we shot the review, I thought, I've just shattered this. And then I picked it up and nothing was shattered. It does have like 2 nicks on the aluminum band. And one of them shows up in the video review if you're looking for it. It's on the camera bump. Everything else is fine. I'm going to keep using it without a case. Sorry, Mom.
Correct.
Yeah, it's funny because they said that these phones were more drop resistant than last year by a certain percentage, and it's because they're square. And it turns out when you square things, they become more drop resistant. Because Apple, when they introduced the iPhone 12, they had the shatter shield or whatever they called it.
Ceramic
shield.
Yeah.
And it's just because they changed the shape. There's less chance that it impacts the screen when the screen doesn't curve into the device at all. So,
Also true.
I think they look so good.
I've also been using these for the same amount of time.
You've been using the pink one.
The pink one, yes.
You mean the rose quartz one?
Yeah.
One.
But for my European friends out there, I need to tell you, I got some people to upgrade to RCS. I got some people to update to iOS 18.0 beta, public beta 5. It's public, it's stable, it's okay. But some people message me like, what's a good time to hang out? And then, why the frick is this sending as a green text? What did you do? And I was like, if you just upgraded to iOS 18 public beta, you could use RCS. And they said, I don't understand anything you just said. I'll text you in 2 weeks.
It would also still be green.
Yeah, it would still be green.
I know. Yeah.
When I got a green text from you this morning,
You were confused.
I almost just didn't text you back.
This is something Apple does that's kind of lame, is because if your phone is off or if your phone's dead, your iPhone is dead, and you text someone, it comes through as an SMS because they can't reach your phone because your phone is dead. And so it'll come through as a green text. But that also happens when you switch to Android. So a lot of people are confused, or when your phone number is not active anymore. So a lot of people will just be like, did you get a new phone, or did you break your phone, or did you switch to Android? And the fact that those are all the same thing, yeah, it's kind of painful.
Is the reason I've never had someone say that to me because I've only ever used an Android phone and no one's used to it? Okay, because I've never heard somebody.
I've
never had that response.
If you are a Blue Bubble friend to some people, we're so derailed. But if you're the Blue Bubble friend and you suddenly are a green bubble, then they're that changes everything for some people.
When I switch all the time,
even new
I have
people,
no loyalty.
I've never had someone say "Oh, you're a green bubble" ever to me.
Yeah,
I'm
too scared.
We think it.
Damn.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway,
Sorry.
No, I think I'm happy to daily drive this phone. I'm about to leave for Australia. So, spoiler, whenever I travel internationally, I want to take the most reliable phone with me, the one that I know will have a good battery life even when it's roaming a lot, the one that I know will probably have as many bands as I could possibly rely on.
Google Fi.
I'm taking the Pixel. I'd normally default straight to the Samsung, but I'm going to take the Pixel. It's had really good reception. Apparently there's a new modem. Things are working well with the Pixel, and I'm going to just trust it.
What would it take for you to go back to the S24? How bad of an experience would you have to have in Australia with this phone?
Well, the thing about the Pixel is we have to see how it ages. That's usually my last concern, which is it's great now, but in 6 months, will it still be great? Will things still be smooth? Will bugs not pop up? Will Android 15 show up and suddenly things are way different? I'm hoping it's still great, but that's, something to keep an eye on. Other than that, I don't think anything is going to do it.
Yeah. It's just the processing on the camera is still a little much.
It's true.
Yeah.
The S24 Ultra has a better, maybe that's my hot take, has a better overall camera system than the Pixel.
That is hot.
What do you mean overall video?
It's more saturated.
Images are a little bit more natural. It has better zoom, 10x. You could argue better is subjective, but it has a further telephoto, so you can do better far zoom. More natural looking video. It's just a slightly more natural looking camera, which is crazy to say about Samsung.
With the 50 megapixel mode, when you take a bunch of rapid pictures, the refining picture bar that pops up loading while it's processing, it takes a while. It was going
on the
for
Samsung?
minutes. Yeah, because I took a bunch of pictures last week and then
Isn't that
I put
100
my phone
megapixel
away.
mode?
No, there's a
Not
12,
anymore.
50, and 200.
Weird.
And on the 50 megapixel, I hadn't even tried the 200 one, but I took a bunch of pictures, put my phone away, pulled it back out a couple minutes later to use my phone, and it had been 4 or 5 minutes, and it shows elapsed time.
Really?
And it was time refining picture, 4 minutes, and I was like, oh my god, it's still going.
Yeah, the things I miss on this is there are no apps currently on Android. There's some new apps coming out on iOS recently that have been doing basically no processing on photos. There's an app called Zero Cam that's been getting bigger, and then Halide released an update that also does zero processing.
Saw that.
Looks awesome. Looks like a digicam basically, or just a regular camera. And there's no version of that for Android, which kind of bums me out. But the Lightroom mobile app can shoot RAW, so you can at least do that.
Does OpenCam do?
Open Camera uses Google's camera.
It does.
I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I know there's an HDR toggle on in OpenCam, but I guess they're still computing without it.
Yeah, HDR is still computational
Yeah.
photography.
But
Yeah.
you can turn it off though in OpenCam.
HDR?
Yeah, and notably when I was using the Boox Palma, the HDR switch did nothing.
Of course. There's no stabilization at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think on Samsung phones doing Pro RAW or Expert RAW, one of them, something like that,
Expert
doesn't
RAW.
use the after processing, the HDR processing.
Interesting.
I forget which one it is.
Yeah. Google added a bunch of stuff where they were like, we added the HDR in the middle of the pipeline now, so it doesn't happen at the end, and you can't get rid of it. And I'm like, guys, please, why? Guys, I don't want everything to be a midtone. I just don't.
Well,
But
it
did
is.
But
It is now.
most people think that means better.
Did you like the pictures
there.
coming out of the Pixel 9 though?
I think I liked the 5X optical telephoto photos. I think they were pretty good. I got a little picture of a little snake. He's cute.
That one's in the review. That's a good photo.
Yeah, it's
It's
cute.
a good shot. All right, let's wrap this up with most overrated and most underrated Pixel features now that we've actually used them.
Okay.
I'm going underrated is the new fingerprint reader.
Yeah.
It's great. It's like that was one of the things that made the old Pixels feel worse, slower, lower quality. Is just it took like a beat to just unlock the phone. And every time you unlock the phone, like that time adds up. Ultrasonic one, love that. Underrated, definitely. Overrated for me may be the zoom enhance feature. Didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, watch the video and like it just looked like nothing happened.
I mean, I did some pixel peeping. I did a bunch of other examples. What it's doing is it's kind of using generative AI to add some texture and try to add some structure to shapes that may or may not actually be what they are. So if you have like smooth glass windows, it'll add like some texture to it. Yeah, it ends up looking kind of like an AI generated watercolor.
Yeah, the way I see it, it's like if the photo is already decent, it basically just turns up the sharpening or clarity.
Right.
So it's not really worth it. And then if it's not decent and you actually need it to do something, it just AI generates an area and looks like a Dolly 1 generation.
Yeah,
It's
creates detail out of thin air.
It's not very good.
So I get what they were thinking they were doing here, and they have the models on the phone. I just didn't really work.
They've been
Yeah.
wasn't it like was it Pixel 2 or 3 that was like we're going to use the image stabilization for zoomed in photos, and then that's going to then take multiple photos and stitch those together and make zooming in so good. Do they just announce a zoom in like every year and it fails every single
Yeah,
year?
because Super Res Zoom was a thing on the Pixel 3, I
That's what it
think.
was,
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they do that.
Is zooming the hardest thing to do on a smartphone camera? Is that what we're learning? It's been how many years
Well,
now, and we're still just not taking any
It's
good.
like optics
That's
versus
just physics.
Yeah.
Physics,
Yeah.
It's just physics, but they've made software fix a lot of things, and this seems to be something
Well,
they have not fixed.
I think the
yet.
difference is like previously they would just use machine learning to like guess pixels, but now they're using generative AI to like generate based on a database of like stuff. So I think it's worse now, personally.
That's weird.
Yeah.
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 That's like, I mean, it's like the Samsung Moon photo
Yeah.
with everything zoomed in instead.
Pretty much. I mean, in the actual presentation, when he had created something, the hot air balloon he was going for, the second one he went past was like a melon.
like a melting nectarine in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's your overrated feature.
Yep.
Okay. Underrated, I'm going to say call notes. and
Overrated.
Underrated.
Oh, underrated.
Because every year prior to this, with new Pixels, there would always be some crazy Google only could do this kind of feature that you didn't even think of that was just actually useful. Like the now playing, where it just shows you the music that's playing just ambiently on your phone.
They're still
Super useful.
No one's copied that.
I know.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's wild. I do wonder if they like copyrighted it somehow or something, or it's part of core Android or something like that. Well, I guess not, because it's not on other phones. Anyway, generally every year there's just like a lot of stuff like that, and because of all this generative AI stuff, they've really pivoted a lot of the innovations to just be like, Google Pixel Studio, generate photos that nobody wants. So anyway, having something like call notes where it's literally just it's transcribing your call for you and then using a little bit of generative AI, sure, to give you a summary of the call. I think that's useful. You know?
I think it's useful. I don't think I would ever have the courage to press that button on the
There is
phone
a
with
moment.
literally anybody.
You got to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to ask, and then it has to ask for you again, pretty much. And I just would be way too embarrassed to probably ever
Yeah.
press
I mean,
that
I'd be
button.
like, is it okay if I record this? It's going to make a sound.
I would be like, yeah, is it is it okay to record this? It's also going to make a really cringy robot question or whatever, like after this. I'm sorry. And then they would be like laughing and really confused on when to start. And I'd be like, I'd just hang up the phone.
Yeah.
I'd be like, never mind.
Well, I was on the phone for like an hour the other day talking to someone for the special episode we have coming up next week. And afterwards, I was like, that would have been really useful to use. And I didn't think of using it.
That's the difference is I haven't been on the phone for an hour in years. But if you are the type of person who's on an hour-long phone call that you need to remember, it's pretty good for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Overrated. Does that mean that people think it's good and I don't agree? Or does that just
counts.
mean... Well,
I would just say something that you think doesn't work as well as the hype suggested it would.
Yeah.
Or isn't as useful as maybe it could have
as
been.
Google says it is or as people say it is?
Either
'Cause
one.
That's the difference.
Either one. Whoever you feel like calling out.
I mean... I have to say the screenshots app. I'm sorry. Andrew, I want you to defend this.
Well, it's already my underrated. So,
Okay, because
yeah.
I like your take on it. I just don't agree.
I think I wanted to argue it. Sorry, like
No, if you
not
find a good
semi-interrupting.
use for it.
Well, when Marquez was doing the A roll, I was script supervising, and he put it in meh, but you did a really good job at saying, based on how I'm using things, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. I think and I don't disagree with you guys. I think there's a lot of people who are never going to touch that app.
Yeah.
But I think there's some people who are going to find it genuinely useful, and it's going to be awesome. I mean, if you think about to when we did the recall stuff, remember how a lot of it, despite it being really creepy, was like, wow, this could come in handy at some point.
How about this?
This is that, but you get to do it.
How about the overrated part of it is that it's an app. and
Agreed.
not just a feature built into Google Photos.
Agreed. Good. I do think there is a little more they would have to add to Google Photos because I do think the pinning it into different categories and having those and everything, and it does seem like the way they showed the search and how fast it was is just a little different than how the search in Google Photos is. Do I think this is going to be killed and thrown in Google Photos again? Duh, it's Google. So I feel like we're on the same page, but one of us is more optimistic and one's more pessimistic about it. I think all of us agree that the app is exactly the same thing we all expect it to be.
Yeah, I think my oversight version of it is everything that they built into it is in some way built into someone's photo app, other than the Remind Me feature.
The reminders.
You can remind yourself of a screenshot
Which
based on maybe some context in the screenshot or whatever time you want. Fine. But that other feature of you took a screenshot of a web page or a YouTube video, and it just does you want to revisit that web page? Samsung's gallery already does that. The collections feature is just albums. It's basically a Photos app, but just for screenshots.
I think that's what's it's basically, you're right. It basically is its own album already, but in Google Photos, you can't search per album, can you?
so
If you just wanted to look up, using their example, say you were looking up bikes and you screenshotted a bunch of bikes and then you wanted to search bikes. If you do that in Google Photos right now, would you get things from your screenshot? You would definitely get things from your photos.
yes.
But again, this is something they just should add to Google.
They should. It feels like it would need to be this whole new step in Google Photos, because it would need to be inside the album. Then in that album, the screenshots page, there would have to be their own albums for all the other things. And then searching in that would have to be exclusive to just all of those.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So I think this is just their easy way of doing it.
This is also just a great way to showcase a useful AI feature.
Correct.
It's just
think
crazy
you're right.
to make an entire app just for that.
I think it's easy to do it.
Yeah.
They're lazy, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to call anyone over
I think
there
I
lazy because it seems cool. But
I just feel like I would have respected them more if they were like, and we made Google Photos better by allowing you to do this. It's kind of like when they, at I.O., one of the only useful Gemini AI features that they talked about was now in Google Photos, you can say, show me Kira's swim progress, and it will show you multiple different times when your kid was swimming and how they got better. That's a useful thing. And they were just like, and now you can do this in Google Photos as opposed to please use this technology.
I think it should be in Google Photos. I definitely do not disagree with that. Sorry, is that... I feel like you're underrated or you're overrated and my underrated went into one thing here. Did you get everything out?
That's it's both overrated and underrated at the same time.
It is.
Unless, okay, if you have...
Is it perfectly rated?
It's rated.
It's rated, yeah.
It's rated.
Combined. Do you have any things that you think make it underrated that are unique that you would use it for?
I think I would use it for all the reasons they said. And I think it will be something that nobody ever opens or someone finds like extreme use with. Like, I don't know. I take a lot of screenshots, maybe because I'm lazy and I don't feel like writing it down and putting links on things. So if I could just, screenshot, and then the second I take the screenshot, it has a little like add to album or create new album on that, and that adds it inside there. I think I would use that all the time.
Pinterest.
I had a moment, I think yesterday, where I was rewatching my footage of this, and I just like instantly was like, Google's going to kill this.
Yeah.
Google's going to kill us. And the reason I thought that is because they've had many to-do or note-taking like projects in the past, and this kind of feels like it falls in line with those in that it can't do everything, but it does some things pretty well. Like Google Keep also floats around.
Don't remind them about that.
It floats around in this area where like I want to use Google Keep for everything, but it doesn't do some basic stuff, so I can't use it for everything. Screenshots would be awesome, but it's only screenshots, and I feel like the things that it's good at, I want to like screenshot an invitation or whatever, like a wedding registry, and then now it like knows, it'll remind you on a certain day when to think about something.
That would be awesome.
That's cool. I also want to be able to take a photo of a sign of an event, and I also want to be able to take a photo of my hotel room or where I parked and stuff like that. But since it's not a screenshot, it doesn't go in the Screenshots app unless I take a screenshot of my photo. So it's like, the fact that it doesn't do everything already to me screams,
It would be.
Yeah.
Agreed, and they'll never. That's something they should add, but they probably won't because they called it the Screenshots app, which feels dumb.
Yeah, which is
just screenshots.
There's already a screenshots folder in Google Photos.
Yep.
It's redundant now.
Yeah. So there are definitely people who take a lot of screenshots and need that information and organize their life with a bunch of that type of stuff, and that's
There
great.
are people.
There's people who do that.
There are
right?
people. They
man.
might be in the room with us right now.
Yeah. So those people may really like this.
I would prefer if it just like recognized contextual information and asked you if you wanted to do stuff with that. Like if you took the photo of or a screenshot of that wedding invitation or whatever, and it's like, do you want to add this to
That
your
would be
calendar?
awesome.
Yep.
That would be so good.
Great feature.
They could do that super easily.
My theory that I gave in the review is I think that there is slightly more detailed processing happening of every single thing that goes into the Screenshots app than normally goes into Google Photos. And I think that's actually true because when you first set up the phone, it has to take a moment, connect it to Wi-Fi, and like process all of your screenshots. It takes a minute. So it's doing, I think, a little bit more work than it normally would in the Google Photos app. And so it's able to parse out little tiny bits of text or even little things that you might not get from Google Photos index. So that's my theory.
For you. You said you had to open up the app, press a button, and then it does a bunch of processing?
Mm-hmm.
Only on the first time when you open
The first
it.
time you load the app.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it has to like contextually process all of the screenshots and understand what they are and tag them and stuff.
Yeah.
What's your...
Overrated? I don't know if I really have an overrated. I didn't get to play with it as much as you guys did. Funny enough, if I probably had to pick an overrated thing, I would pick your underrated.
My call notes.
Just because I would never, I would be too scared to use it.
Yeah.
I think it is probably the best feature that they have that I would just never use.
Yeah.
Which is, we're just basically the opposite on that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, at least, it just seems like something that's there in case you need it.
Agreed.
Yeah. You may not use it for months, but then one day you're like, I need to call someone and I need them to give me instructions over the phone on how to change my tire or whatever. I'm just going to try to use this feature once and maybe it works great.
Can you use it on like voicemails? Can it AI summary?
No, that's separate.
A voicemail?
It's literally like in the phone app as you're on a call, it shows up in the middle and it's like, do you want to use this feature?
By the way, they also have this feature called like audio emojis, which they added like last year.
It's weird.
I forgot about
They have
that.
like the party one and like a smiley face, and if you hit the party one, it just really loudly goes like.
That was a fantastic impression.
That was so
That
good.
was
That's
really good.
But it's really shocking, and it's way louder than you're both talking to each other, and it's just like, ugh, and it comes out both sides.
You
the
like
same
jump
way.
scare who you're on the phone with.
It's like a soundboard for your phone.
Yeah, it's a soundboard for your phone
Pretty much.
calls.
Yeah. It's like how
super
in,
weird.
it's like how in Google Meet, if you like, oh no, this is actually not in Google Meet.
It's an app. It's just built into Apple computers.
Well, if you're on an Apple computer and you
right.
give a thumbs up, then it just adds another bigger thumbs up.
That's an Apple thing, not a
that's
Zoom
Google
thing.
Meet. That's Google Meet, right?
No, that's Apple.
I thought in Apple, if you did that, it would do the fireworks.
Oh, Slack does that. Oh.
Oh, maybe
There's a lot, too many video things.
Who's
Yeah.
doing what? But everyone's enhancing our gestures with like emoji versions of it. So
I have an overrated.
Do
Okay.
it.
The pink. Yep. Yeah, I said it.
I'm
But
with
which
you.
pink? There's two pink ones.
Yeah, there's two pinks.
So the rose quartz that David's holding here is the Pro phone. It's a more faded pink. It's a little more neutral, and the rails, correct me if I'm wrong, even less pink, right?
Yeah, they are pink though.
A little bit pink. Then there's the
Peony.
Peony.
Peony's Peony is the name of the other
how you say
non-Pro phone.
I think it's peony.
Peony.
Yeah.
Really?
I think
Yeah,
so.
there's a whole thing in the comment section of like
I've been saying peony my whole life.
people were correct. So in a bunch of YouTube videos, there's a bunch of tech reviewers who have never said that word before, and we're all seeing this as the name of the phone and going peony.
I like those words.
And of course, like, you know, 1 out of every 100 people in the comments is like, "What's wrong with you?" It's obviously peony. So I think I'm saying that right, but that's the non-Pro phone. It's much more pink.
It's hotter
You
pink
might
for
like that
sure.
one more.
Is it warmer though? Because my problem with this one is that it's a cool pink. Like it's more bluish hue.
I'd say it's warmer, yeah.
It's warmer. Okay.
Yeah.
Warmer's.
It's just
warmer's
hot
nice.
pink.
Peony.
See?
Yeah, like the flower.
I said that right.
What
yeah.
is the,
Yeah.
that's a flower?
I was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a flower. It's like a
pink
lavender.
flower.
Like how lavender is a color and a flower, you know?
And a spice.
The herb is the flower.
Yeah. I'm highly allergic, so I don't know these things.
That's a great place to wrap this up. I think we.
Oh.
Oh, did you have a segue?
Yeah, we've got
'Cause I
another.
did.
Speaking of warm
Yeah,
phones.
speaking of, Andrew.
That is not what I mean. That's the color. What do you mean?
Okay, go ahead. Go on.
Let him cook.
I'm not. I did not even add the poop part in there. Hold on. We're cutting this. We're cutting this. I just meant that is a warmer
not
brown.
cutting it.
That is a warmer brown.
I'd say it's in the warm spectrum. Yeah, it's like in the sand.
Okay.
If you turn sand saturation up.
Okay.
For those that don't know what
yes.
we're talking about,
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
We're not cutting any of this.
the rumored special color for the iPhone 16 Pro is brown, but it's a certain shade of brown.
Bronze.
They're really gonna have to name this one.
It's probably just gonna be called bronze.
But didn't they have a? They didn't have a bronze
Mystic
phone?
I don't think so.
bronze. That was
Yeah.
the Samsung phone.
Oh, that was
the
Samsung.
Galaxy S,
do you
Galaxy
think-
Note
This looks
20 Ultra.
It looks
Okay.
good in the lineup of phones.
the
There's
iPhone.
some ways that
I think this looks worse in the lineup of
No, okay.
phones.
Here's what's
agree.
happening. There's a render floating around of
no,
this new
There's
color.
also a photo.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Okay. It's bad. Oh, it's bad. Okay, so
really bad.
the render floating around has like the old wallpaper, and then they've also color matched all of the icons on the home screen to brown, and it looks leathery. It's bad. I
It's
don't
worse
like
than
it.
leathery. It's a bad color.
You mean
Yeah,
This is a rough
Apple.
color, and it's replacing blue titanium.
that's so sad.
Well, allegedly.
Oh yeah, allegedly.
Remember,
Sorry.
allegedly button.
But
Allegedly.
that's on this this leak photo that 9to5Mac has of like the lineup of them, and there's no blue, and instead there's this greenish brown, like rusty pipe color.
This was
phone.
Mystic Bronze on the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra.
That's
Okay.
more pink.
So yeah, so the mystic part was warming it up or making it more pink than regular brown.
Mystic helped.
Yeah. I don't mind that. I think you can get away with using bronze there. But like when we just had the Olympics, like when you picture bronze, you have a certain darker like color in your head. This doesn't look bronze at all to me. If your medal at the Olympics was this color, you'd be so sad. I don't know. It's a rumor. It's what
looks like
people think
the
maybe
sand
in
It's a
color.
rumor.
If you drop this phone in a swimming pool, everyone's getting out.
That's a great way
I
of putting
think.
it. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
It'll be waterproof though, so you can go get it.
all right. Andrew, you want to?
This episode of the Waveform Poopcast is
Yeah,
brought to
this
you
is
by...
we hit our poop quota for the rest of the year, I think, in this one. Okay.
You want to pivot?
Yeah, I have zero segue for
No
this
segue.
one though. But just previously, I'm gonna make this really fast
On
because the
Waveform.
last time I talked about keyboards was really boring, and this
All
is
right.
about that
I'll
same
set a timer.
thing. Okay, yeah. Give
We
me
enjoyed
1
it.
minute. Give me 1 minute.
It wasn't
All right,
as
Gemini.
boring as when Marquez and Miles were talking about cars, and I was just like,
And you just blacked
David's
out.
brain was melting.
Okay, 90 seconds. How's that sound?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, set a timer for 90 seconds. Go.
So a few episodes ago, we talked about something called Snaptap, which was this new Hall Effect keyboard software system that Razer introduced that made certain movements in games like Counter-Strike really easy. Valve just banned that from in their Counter-Strike game, so you will not be allowed to use it. Funny, and I'm glad they caught this quick because a bunch of keyboards were very clearly going to start to add this. Example, Asus created one and announced it the day after they banned it. Fun. And then that kind of sucks. It's still useful in some other games, but Counter-Strike is the most useful, and now you can't even use it. So all the people who learned how to do it, you're still going to be better.
Yeah.
I have
Get
a
wrecked.
question.
Yeah.
How did they know?
I think they're going to know because like the exact perfect timing between overwriting the two
But what if you're
button
frame
presses.
perfect?
Yeah, what if
You're
he was
not.
good?
What if
You're
you're
not.
a god on the keyboard?
You're not.
Smash players.
I think I saw
Even by accident.
something with like the pro players and how often they hit a perfect Counter-Strike and it was still only like 80% or something like that. So if you're doing it all the time,
I guess if it's 100% of the time.
yeah, you
be
can't
100.
not be 100% of the time pretty much with this feature.
Gotcha.
Even questions, 15 seconds to spare. Let's go. Like and subscribe to the Waveform podcast.
Well played.
Cool.
That's it.
It's kind of, well, as a last note to that, it is kind of crazy that they're banning it when like all of the keyboard manufacturers are just pivoting to making those keyboards now.
They're going to have it, and I wouldn't be surprised if like first of all, it'll still be helpful in Overwatch or Valorant. It's just not quite as game breaking. And I think the reason Counter-Strike is going to do it is because it just has this super long history of people spending over a decade perfecting it and now having something new, where a lot of newer games either not having it be as like useful in there or just like it's new and now everyone will have that advantage from the start.
Yeah.
It's not as big of a deal.
Interesting.
That's my
So
take
Valve
on it.
probably felt like we have to ban this because it's such a big deal in our games, but other people can make their own choices.
Yeah, and they've done things in the past where software did something specifically like that, and they have banned that. So I guess precedent is sort of there.
And then are they only banning it in pro matches or?
I think it's it's just banned in the game. They even said like if this is something on your keyboard or if you buy one of these, you have to be sure you turn it off.
Dang.
That'll be interesting if people don't know or like turn it on in the settings and don't really know or and then get banned. But
Dang.
Dang.
All right, well, that's a good place to take a break. We have a lot more gadgets and fun stuff like that to talk about. But before we get to that stuff, we should do trivia.
Remember how right before we started
a good color.
taping, I played that song to test the lights, and
The
we just
Dr.
did
Pepper
it,
song?
and lights don't work anymore. It's just one of those
It was just
days.
Did we clap?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
but today's trivia question. Is there like a gas leak in here today? We're extra loopy. Today's trivia question. In 2009, Twitter unveiled its verification program after being sued by a 3-time champion of what sport?
2009, you said?
2009.
Because someone pretended to be them.
Because someone pretended to be them
On Twitter.
on Twitter in 2009. And they sued Twitter. And Twitter created verification.
Champion of an event.
Of a sport.
I didn't want to ask you the guy because there's so many guys. But what sport was he a 3-time champion in?
We're talking about like champion, like not like high school champion. Or,
No, we're talking about champion.
Champion of the sport.
Keyboard warrior.
I'll give you a hint. It is a sport where the champions are referred to as the world champions, despite the fact that this championship was only United States sports teams.
So Noah Lyles doesn't count it as a world champion.
No.
Wish I knew anything about
Fair.
sports.
That beef is so funny.
I love that beef so much.
Really funny.
Is it rare?
Are they gonna race? They're gonna race, right?
Maybe. We'll keep it. If they do, we'll update it people on the podcast just to let them know.
And
Okay.
we'll let David know during
And
this
we'll
ad
keep
break we're about to
talking
take. Yeah.
We'll explain this to David over the ad break. We'll have the answers at the end like usual. We'll be right back. Support for Waveform comes from AT&T. Here's a little secret. Most smartphone deals aren't that exciting. To be honest, they're barely worth mentioning. But then there's AT&T and their best deals. Those are quite exciting. They're the kind of deals that really are worth talking about, like their deal on the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6 featuring FlexCam with Galaxy AI. With this amazing deal, you can trade in your eligible smartphone any year, any condition for a new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6. The deal's so good it'll have you shouting from the rooftops. So, get yourself down to street level and learn how to snag the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6 on AT&T and maybe grab a ladder on the way home. AT&T, connecting changes everything. Requires trade-in of Galaxy S, Note, or Z series smartphone. Limited time offer, 256 gigs for $0. Terms and restrictions apply. See att.com/Samsung or visit an AT&T store for details. All right, welcome back. David's now filled in on the drama between Noah Lyles and Tyreek Hill and the NBA. And also, we have to talk about this triple folding phone that's out now.
I like knowing about sport.
It's great.
Sport fun.
Sport's good.
Love it.
Okay, so the article, the news is that Huawei's CEO is walking around and getting photographed with this phone that no one's ever seen before. And when you zoom in on it, it looks like it's a 3-layered stack, as in a triple folding phone.
Trifold.
We love it.
Huawei's not making a trifold right now. Maybe they will. This is the equivalent of like Sundar Pichai walking around with like a unreleased Pixel. Like, you're the CEO, you know people are going to photograph you. This is basically an ad. I don't know where to start with my thoughts on this.
Remember when the iPhone 10 slipped out of Tim Cook's pocket during the interview he was giving?
Yeah, it's like, you're Tim Cook. Everyone's taking pictures of everything you do. Everyone like zooms in on the bulge in your pocket anyway and thinks maybe that's a phone that's not released based on the square of the camera, whatever. It's like, good job, Huawei CEO. Now we're talking about Huawei phones.
You think this is straight up him?
On purpose.
You think he did it on purpose?
100%.
Yeah.
There's another shot of him on a plane with it fully unfolded.
Yeah.
So he's on a plane just next to other people, just holding it.
Am I the only one that's kind of surprised that he doesn't have his own private jet for everything?
Well, how else do you get these photos out?
Yeah. Yeah.
We wouldn't
Yeah,
be
I'm not
talking about
totally
these
sure.
if he was on a private jet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's no trifold yet. My other take on this though is
Wait.
what?
You know what's really funny about this? The like paparazzi photos of him using the Huawei phone have the Huawei Mate X5X image.
Oh,
like,
Watermark. Yeah.
that screams plan.
At first,
Such a plan, dude.
I found the Huawei CEO and I happen to know what he looks like.
And they're like, look at the zoom. You can crop in like crazy and the quality's still good.
amazing.
This quality's
Huawei.
terrible, by the way.
I know. But,
Yeah.
you know,
But anyway, my
add
other
zoom
take
enhance.
is that a triple folding phone is
epic.
not
What?
a good idea.
Why?
You guys are crazy.
Because I just don't see a way that you can fold it twice and not have one side be roofably exposed to the elements. And also, how do you hold a triple folding? Like, which ways does it fold? Is it folding? How is it?
So it goes
Ow.
screen on top.
'Cause
and
the
then
second
it
fold-
slips around like this.
Okay, it has to be an S. It has to be an
Yeah,
S. Okay, anyway. So there's a bunch of ways
You can see
fold.
the back, so it's not on the back. The screen is not on the back.
Screen's
It's a
not on the
regular
back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good
because
point.
you got cameras on the back.
How does this work?
That's what I'm saying. now.
Oh, no. It's just that it has a screen on one side, has two screens.
What?
Okay.
You mean the Wait, what? No.
This has a screen on the front, so you use it regular in like candy bar mode, right? And then that opens and has a screen under it, and
Okay.
then there's another screen.
Okay. So
Then the middle inside screen is just, I think they said 10 inches.
This is too much.
I think this makes the most sense because like this is actually the folding tablet that you're looking for. Like 10 inches is
Sure.
a full blown tablet.
that
A
would
really
be the
wonky accordion one. But
That would be a good reason for it to exist over a regular. Because right now we have our dual screen, our folding screen, let's say Pixel Fold type devices or Galaxy Z Fold type devices, where the screen on the outside is normal-ish phone sized, and then the screen on the inside is small tablet sized. So there's a world where you could argue that a triple folding phone
10 inches.
can give you a full-size tablet in your pocket.
Imagine
you
the
could-
Nexus 10 in your pocket.
The Nexus 10 had these nice bezels to hold with my
Giant
hands.
bezels.
That was kind of nice, actually. I don't know. I want to give it some time to develop and breathe and be a real product, because just based on these photos, all we really get to do is talk about Huawei and what they might be doing.
it looks wonky how he's holding it. Like it doesn't look like it's
Yeah.
folding out flat when he's got it open, and that would be a huge bummer.
Yeah.
But if they could pull it off,
How
it'd be cool.
expensive would this be?
Yep.
Wait, so let's imagine one screen phones are $900. The $1,700 for most folding phones. So we just add another
$2,700?
25 to 3,000.
Or only like 17 hinges away from crumple phones.
Can I?
A lot of hinges.
Can I just say my favorite part of this? One of the top replies to this was casually testing the device with no disguising case. And I just want to know what disguising case this person thinks a tri-folding phone could be in.
A box.
It's just a shadow box that he like
Yeah.
sticks his head in to use the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like the CEO of like Ford driving around an unreleased car. It's like, you wanted us to talk about this, didn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't you? No disguise.
Didn't you?
Or it's not a phone they're ever going to put out, and the CEO is just like, I want this.
Just flexing.
I'm the CEO.
That's awesome.
Cook it up for me.
So that's a good. I don't know this CEO very well, but there are
Yu.
CEOs like that.
I would 100% do that.
Just be like, I want this one of one.
Yeah, like
phone.
no one else wants this iPhone mini, but make me the iPhone mini.
I think they're going to put it out.
Guys, all I have to do is become the CEO of Apple, and I can get a new one.
I think Huawei is going even harder on making their phones more unique, considering they're like not sold anywhere else in the US anymore, or not even in the world. Are they even sold in Europe anymore?
No, I believe they're sold in Europe.
Are they? Okay.
Huawei.
Because they were for a bit. I think maybe Honor is there now, but I'm not sure about Huawei anymore. But either way, I think that they're trying to go even harder to just be like, see what you guys are missing. We got innovation and technology. Yeah, I do miss the Huawei P series phones. Those phones are awesome. They basically invented like
Really
low
are.
light photography on smartphones.
Yeah.
The P30 Pro.
That thing was
It was
crazy.
freaking.
P30.
I remember playing with
crazy.
that in a bar in San Francisco with
my
you.
God.
And oh my God, it was insane.
Yeah, it's saw in the dark for sure. It's crazy.
Speaking of what people are missing,
Wait, it
What?
seems, based on this Reddit post in r/Huawei, that all Huawei phones will be pulled off of at least the UK network by 2027.
so
But
they're on
And the
their
UK
way
is all of Europe. So.
I'm going to keep reading about
Famously. Famously.
If you
At
know,
Andrew Manganelli.
and at Ellis Roven, if you have the answer to if you can use Huawei devices.
I think
In
you
Europe.
probably can.
I'm sure you can use it.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Speaking of phone information and crazy technology that may or may not ever come to the rest of us. So that was a pretty good one, right? RealMe just showed off.
I was
a-
going somewhere else. I zigged when you zagged. But let's go there.
That's what the trifold phone does. One zigs and one zags.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah, let's talk about RealMe.
Okay.
This is not a real phone, but this is a thing that they successfully demoed. RealMe demoed 320 watt fast charging in a smartphone.
Do people understand that the MacBook Pro 16-inch maxes out at 140 watts, which
Yeah.
is like really fast?
You really need context for this. The context is, this is my favorite genre of content, is trying to contextualize extreme things. The iPhone charges at like 20 something watts, right? That's it's like an average charging phone. It's kind of below average at this point. We've got some 30-ish wattage phones. The Pixel this year charges at 37 watts for the Pro XL. Great. But some of the fastest charging phones we've seen here on this side of the Atlantic charge at like 60 watts.
Yeah.
Which are really convenient. There was a OnePlus phone that charged at 80 watts. It was amazing.
Was it
And
not
I
a
think-
120?
Overseas, it was doing more wattage because they had different outlets and whatever. They had a different brick
Yeah.
for it. But it was like 80 watts in the US. I think that's
Yeah.
the fastest charging phone I've ever used in the US.
There was
I
a
believe it is.
SuperVOOC 125 watt with the regular US adapter.
Really?
Looks like. Of course,
Well,
when I
that
go
would
to it,
be
the
the
page
fastest.
is no longer available.
Did you know that peregrine falcons can apparently travel up to 240 miles per hour?
In a free fall dive? Boy, do I know a lot
I
about
feel
that.
like that is the equivalent of this.
You know
If that's
peregrine
surprising to
falcons?
you,
They're in New York on skyscrapers.
they're going to
You can
attack
see them
me,
all the time. They
and
go
you won't
crazy.
even see it coming.
Yeah. So, like I said, 80 watt charging phone is like extremely quick. You plug it in for 3 minutes and you get like 15-20% battery out of it. It's like amazing. It's very convenient. I love seeing that feature. If you're at the airport and your flight is literally starting to board and your phone's almost dead, you can plug it in for like 4 minutes as the flight boards, unplug, and have like a flight's worth of battery. It's just the convenient moments like that. This phone, RealMe had plugged in at 0%. And by 4 minutes,
22
4
seconds.
minutes and 30 seconds, it was full.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, also the photos. So when you first said that, I thought of was it the ROG phone or the Lenovo Legion that had two?
The Legion.
Yeah, so it would charge both batteries at the same time. And I was like, it's one cord that's doing this.
It's one cable.
Yeah.
It's one brick. It is, I mean, we don't have a bunch of details about temperatures or anything else like that, but it's a 4,400 milliamp hour battery that, again, goes from 1% to 100% in 4 minutes.
And a half.
4 minutes and 22 seconds.
There are laws.
This
phone broke
I
physics.
think this
And
phone, this has to damage the battery. There's just no way.
That's a one-time use feature.
Yeah, like I'd like to be able to use this phone again after. Yeah, I don't know. This isn't necessarily coming to a real phone. RealMe is obviously pushing the limits on their regular phones with like 100, 150 watt charging, and that's amazing. But this is just a crazy demo that they showed.
What was the car that only has 100 launches? This is that. Yeah, this only has 100.
Yeah, 100
100
charges.
or 240 watt. No,
320 watts.
It can only do that 100 times before the battery's completely toast.
Would you take that as a feature?
No.
You could do this 100 times.
I
What
would
about,
100% take that?
What was the other one that only fast charged a certain number of times in a day?
It was
In a
Lexus.
day is different.
It was the Lexus.
The Lexus, you can only fast charge twice in one day,
Oh,
24 hours.
twice in 24
Which
hours.
is even worse.
So I don't know if you saw. So the autofocus, we did a review of the Lexus something 450e. It has a 240-ish mile range,
is not
generously, which is already not great. And if you decide to go road trip, that means you're going to have to charge a few times, but it will only fast charge twice from 0 to 80% in 24 hours, and then it will lock fast charging and only slow charge until that timer is up.
Which is insane.
that's a lot of driving.
Yeah, but like I
It's-
drove to Ohio straight shot and I had to charge my car like 3.5 times.
Yeah, it's road trip type. Because 80% is not the full 240 miles. It's like 200 miles.
Oh yeah, true.
So if you
Still
really...
600 miles.
Yeah.
Maybe you go further.
I'm just saying.
I'm not saying you
There's
do it
no
every
other cars
day.
with that limit. It's
Yeah.
tough. This would you take a phone? I'm trying to find the balancing point. Would you take a phone that could do this 0 to 104 minutes, but only does it 365 times, and then from there it'll charge extremely slowly,
Extremely slowly.
2 watts.
365 is different.
No,
than
no, no, no,
2
no, no,
watts.
no. We have to give it at least.
You have to hand crank it the rest of the time.
You gotta shake it and use kinetic energy to.
Yeah, you have to bike a mile to charge your phone. Yeah.
300 somethings. If it only had
even do that
100, that would be tough because it would be like I would either save them and then never use them,
Yeah, you
and
use
it would
them
be
once in a
pointless,
while.
or I would use it once and then I would just keep using it and destroy all 100 of it.
You'd keep it
Too
in like
fast.
your backpack where you're like, if I'm on the go and I know I need a quick charge, I'll use one of my limited crazy
This is the
chargers.
exact same psychology reason that companies offer free trials. Because once you like use something and it's better than the normal thing, you're like, well, I don't really want to go back.
How I feel with wireless charging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't go away from wireless charging.
That's exactly what happened to me. I never used to use it, and I was like, it's way faster to just charge your phone. And then now I have wireless charging pads everywhere, and I'm like, why would I do that ever again?
Yeah.
Would I ever need a cable in my life?
This ultimate 4 minutes is still though like if you can still sit down for I don't know.
How about this? It goes from 0 to 26% in 1 minute. That's amazing.
That's absurd.
I'm sure if you plug it in for like 3 seconds, it's already at 3%.
That
It's like you go in slow motion and it's hovering, it's not even in, and you see the charging icon come on and it starts
It's like, I'm ready. Yeah.
it's like the low stance mode when you're about to take off on a car that you can
Ready to go.
Jaguar.
get it ready. Yeah.
That's the
Launch
thing. If the
control.
phone's dead, it can't like precondition the battery for charging. It's just like, it just goes. I don't know. That seems dangerous. Whatever. Okay. Anyway.
You want some perspective before we move on?
Yes, please.
Marques,
Peregrine Falcon.
The Peregrine Falcon, your studio monitors on your desk that are running in single digit efficiency are only using about 120 watts each. So both of them still not even getting to the same
Just-
wattage.
you're talking about the speakers.
The
Yamaha
the Yamaha
HS8s?
HS8s, yes.
Yeah.
So both of those, and then even crazier, the 2017 iMac Pro, which has a 5K display, built-in hot graphics card, Intel power hungry processor. That thing is running at 370 watts. So you can compare.
At CPU max.
Yeah, at CPU max. So you can compare this little tiny phone to an all-in-one professional
Jeez.
computer.
Dang.
When are we going to charge phones in kilowatts? We're only a couple years away from a kilowatt charging phone.
And then even less years from global warming destroying us all.
Nuking our pockets.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right.
Well, I have no good transition to this other topic, but I do think it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Procreate. Okay. Let's just start with what happened and then our I'll just get my reaction. So Procreate, if you've ever heard of Procreate, we've shown it in various iPad videos before. It's an app on the App Store that is an illustration app. So if you're making art pieces, if you're editing art pieces, it's really good with the Apple Pencil. You can sketch things, you can adjust things with different brushes. That's what Procreate is. It's an art app.
Also, something that Elon Musk really wants you to do.
Also true. Inside joke. Not even inside. That's just a well played.
Thanks.
Anyway, so Procreate has existed for a while now on the iPad. It has a really dedicated fan base of users. And they've been kind of quiet on a lot of AI stuff, but they've got a lot of questions about it. So eventually, a couple days ago, their CEO came out and doesn't really do this often, but made a video. And it's like a 60-second video. And all he does is express how much he hates generative AI. He goes, you guys have been asking us about AI, and I just hate generative AI, and we will not be adding this to any of our products. Blah, blah, blah. Procreate is about empowering our users. End scene. And I had so many thoughts to this, but mainly there's two reactions. One, which is most of the first 24 hours, is hell yeah. Way to go. This is the way it should be. Artists with pencils and no AI tools, this Adobe crap. We don't love where the industry is going. Like, we want Procreate to stay AI free. And I saw a ton of those reactions for the first 24 hours. But then 24 hours later, I chimed in because on the other hand, it is kind of an interesting announcement. It's an announcement to never add something to your product, which is fine. But as we all know, we're in the early days of generative AI, and there's a lot of things that are becoming more useful. And lots of companies are, for sure, way too far shoving this into their customers' faces. But what if it is really useful potentially someday? What if there are things that other competitive apps add that people want to see in your app? They've committed now to never adding that. And I do think that's fascinating. Thoughts?
I have some thoughts, especially as someone who owns and uses Procreate.
Okay.
I think there's something to be said about Procreate is easily like a top 5 iPad app. Like it's so easy to use, and it's one of those things. Yeah,
Apple themselves loves to demo it for various new things. When the Apple Pencil has new features, they're like, try this out in Procreate.
But I don't think it's that great for technical art. I think it's great for sketching and for workshopping and for putting things down, and not sketching like to belittle anything. Like, people make beautiful things, but if you're an architect or a designer and you need to make something that has specs that you can easily edit and like do, Procreate,
that's a different app.
And that's the stuff that I see people genuinely needing AI features in. Obviously, like every app is like, we're adding an AI, but the apps that I really see like actual professionals being like, I want these tools, are people that are doing technical things. And so I'm not sure Procreate's core audience needs it.
I have a question for you there, though.
Yeah.
Is that AI generative AI?
Yeah, this is mine.
Or is it just advanced machine learning, which we've been doing for like 20 years?
Well,
I'm talking about generative AI. I'm talking about natural language processing to results on the page, which even if it's editing something that's there, it's still generative AI.
Yeah. Well,
there are some features like in Photoshop that are generative in nature, meaning if you want to do content-aware fill or the equivalent, I don't know if they call it something else now.
they call it generative film.
Generative fill now?
Yeah,
We
there's
were just
both.
talking about this yesterday.
Like, there are really good, genuine uses for that all the time. I mean, we see that on our phones, but that's just one feature that will never be in Procreate. And whether or not Procreate users ever would use something like that, I am not as confident in, but it seems like the CEO is very confident that they will never need stuff like that.
I think it's important that he said, and I don't know what he's talking about here because he didn't explain it. You said it was a short video. He very specifically said generative AI.
Right,
and I think an app that you said, I've never used this. I've seen Brandon use it and still some, but it is drawing based and generally like you're not photo editing or photo manipulating in it. So it sounds like he's just not adding AI that would add something into it because you are supposed to be the one doing it. I wouldn't be surprised if there are AI features at some point that would just help make some of those things easier.
AI,
Especially, I was just going to say, there's an animating feature in it, right? Where you can draw things and help animate it.
Yep.
But that's not generative.
That's not generative, but there could be AI
it's
app.
both.
Procreate Dreams.
So Procreate Dreams is their dedicated animation app, but in Procreate, there's a pretty in-depth animation editor in it too.
So like I could see AI things adding into this that aren't generative that could still help, but it's not creating something in a creative. He specifically said our products are built with the idea that humans are creating something. So I think the fact that he said we're not adding generative AI, not that we're not adding AI, means there's potential for some AI and they're just not.
Yeah.
Just not like, hey, sorry, I'm interrupting you like 30 times, David.
You're good.
He like where you're not just going like, here, I drew one tree. Now draw everything else for me. Like that's not going to be added there, but I could see some other things that would be small, helpful, quality of life AI adjustments.
Yeah.
Maybe like I don't know what else see me fall out of the chair. Sorry,
We need to generate some more table.
Yeah, I need to
over there.
generate. I think maybe like if you could natural language process brushes, maybe that could be like kind of cool in Procreate. I feel like all the AI animation tools that I've used use sort of like the latent space frame interpolation like models
Which
to get stuff
I
animated.
feel like it's just machine learning.
Sure.
I feel like
I
that's
also feel like it
something
doesn't
that's
work
just
very well.
rebranded.
Like I don't know anyone that does it, and in a
That
way
was one of the latest, and this is just I don't use Procreate much, but Apple would go, hey, check out this new rotational sensitivity for the Apple Pencil, and they do that by animating like a swirl on Procreate, and you could see it animate based on how fast you twirled your pencil. So like, that doesn't need generative AI to work.
Yeah.
So I assume that's fine.
Yeah. So the corollary that I see here is like in the calculator, the math notes calculator thing, right? Part of what it does is that it will like make up numbers that look like they were made in your handwriting when it shows answers. It will also
That's generative.
That's not generative.
Well, the drawing the characters on
It's
the page
not
for me,
generative.
that's not generative.
I asked them at the event. I was like,
Interesting.
yeah, they were like, because it's creating those things, and it's when you draw you use your handwriting and draw numbers and stuff, it sort of like curves the stuff so that it's more natural looking, and it's not and they're like, yep, we're not using any generative AI for this. This has nothing to do with like Apple intelligence. It's literally just the same machine learning we've been doing forever. And that's the thing that I feel like a lot of people, most of these companies are rebranding a lot of machine learning things as generative AI when they're just not. Like the other day on Apple TV, it was like recommended shows, and then in quotes it said AI beta. And I was like, your recommendations engines, like maybe you added some form of transformer model to your recommendation engine, but like they're just slapping it on there for the
just AI,
the money,
just to have it there.
My other thing is that his stance on this, I think, is a general moral stance on the fact that in order to do generative AI stuff that's actually generative, you have to have a data model. You have to have a set that is trained on people's work that is 98% of the time stolen material.
Especially like images and art like this.
Exactly.
Like they're 100% not consenting to all of that stuff being used in these.
Right. And so I think that he's basically saying, like, as an art company, us stealing art in order to like make these features work just kind of goes against our morals.
Yeah, no art
That
company
checks
would
out.
ever do that. Allegedly.
Unless they're monopoly.
Allegedly.
Hey, that was for research purposes, Alice.
All right, research purposes. Like, alleged research.
They were never supposed to use that in the application. Oh, sorry, the intern got a hold of it. He didn't understand.
Oh my God, our intern accidentally scraped 1 billion YouTube videos. Sorry.
I give you the ability to scrape Marques Brownlee.
We're not salty.
Yeah, no, that checks out.
Anyway.
And also that's true because there was a statement in that video specifically, like he says, we don't really like the way the industry is going. I feel like this video was like very scripted, and I feel like that line basically meant like, look at all these other AI apps and what they have to do to add their generative AI features, and that is what is implied in all of that use. And there's also just a ton of other apps that are like not quite Procreate competitors, but you've seen like the replace the sky, like photo editor iPad app. Like there's 1,000 of those, and they have to be trained on something. And I feel like that's a part of this equation that a lot of people don't see on the surface, but that is probably what he's talking about.
Or Google, which is just like, whatever you want, man. What is a photo? I don't know.
I think the replacing the sky thing is more photo editing manipulation versus like drawing sketching, which Procreate is. That's why I think this
Yeah.
works so perfectly for Procreate, because you're kind of supposed to start blank canvas and make things.
And
There's also like the Pixel Studio app where you're just like, you do start blank canvas, but you're just like, give me a scene on the beach with a purple sky, and it just
Yeah,
makes it
that's-
for you.
Yeah, because you don't draw at all on the Pixel app.
no.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's generative, and that's just kind of, it's the same output as I had to draw the whole thing myself, but it's very much more a different process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we'll see. Well, my take on Twitter was we'll see how long this commitment lasts. It seems like a strong commitment because it's the CEO coming out literally cursing in this video saying, I bleeping hate generative AI. So it seems like a strong commitment to me, but I'm curious how long the commitment to not add features of a certain genre will last. I'm very fascinated by this one.
I
As long
doubt-
as his morals hold up.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
I guess like the industry could change on how they do, or like take, if they can find a moral way to have a data set,
Yeah.
maybe
Someday,
but
Like
I
Apple
s-
did with Genmoji.
I don't think they'll ever add generative stuff, but I think they will add AI things. This is coming from someone who's never even used the damn app. I have no say in this.
I was gonna
Don't
say this
listen to
is
me.
definitely like you said, Marquez. Like this is
It's great marketing.
it. One, it's great marketing. Two, it's completely disregarding any future updates that happen with AI. So like
generative AI.
generative AI. So for example, if you're animating something, you have to draw it frame by frame. You know, like a guy jumping. You know, you draw every little movement. If you could just draw the first one and the last one, and then have it generate the whole
Well,
middle
but they
part.
already have that with
That's what I'm
machine
saying.
learning.
Yeah, they have that
you don't
too,
need
but-
that yet with generative AI.
But what if they had a feature in the future that did that? Like we don't have that now. We have it already as something else. But there are those like useful things that Procreate adds and these animation apps add that if they did have one like that, that's generative AI, I'm sure artists would flock to it.
Yeah. That's the other thing about like artists and which apps they choose to use. Procreate nailed it with their core audience and their core users, which is, oh yeah, we don't want this generative AI stuff anyway. That's why everyone loves the announcement and the people around it love the announcement. But in the future potential of like, do we want to grow, or are we comfortable with our current core? How do we want to evolve in the future? They could miss out on like people who might have used Procreate but flock to a different app because a certain feature becomes super useful and turns out there's a moral way to do it, et cetera, someday in the future that we just don't know.
Yeah.
So
You know, maybe it's okay if companies miss out on some things every once in a while.
totally fine. That's a fair point.
That's.
Procreate-
I would like more companies to miss
They've
out
got
on
a
things.
core audience and they're just going to keep doing what's best for that core audience, and that's fine.
I think Eric Schmidt would disagree with you.
I don't know who that is.
One of the co-founders of Google.
If you're not multi-
Oh yeah,
He gave a talk at Stanford recently where he was basically like, you know what I would do if I was trying to start a company right now? I would generative AI copy TikTok exactly, 100%.
he said that out loud.
Yes, he would say I copy everything about it. I would copy the content. I would copy whatever, and I would put it on the App Store. And if it wasn't successful in 3 minutes, I'd do it again and put another one up there. Because if you steal and it doesn't blow up, it doesn't matter. But if you get successful, you can just pay lawyers to clean up the mess. He literally said this to a bunch of Stanford students, and then it got reported on by a ton of people. And then he like forced Stanford to take down the video.
Jeez.
It was like, oh, I didn't really mean that. Like, you said that. You said that.
If that's all
Only wanted
true,
to say it to the Stanford students.
I'm
that
100%
guy's
serious.
that guy's
That's
a
like
moron.
the Silicon Valley equivalent of like ain't no laws when you're drinking claws. Like it's just like I don't care. I don't care about anything.
Literally.
This is a former episode, a previous episode. Move fast and break terms of service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Cool. One more thing before trivia. I have it small in here. Did you guys see this? The circle to search song identification button.
I did not see
No,
this, so
what
I
does
would love
that
you to
How do
explain.
you
Okay.
circle a song?
So
Go on.
circle to search. You bring up the UI. You know, you hold down the home button and you get the where you can circle, and you also get the little search bar. And there's one other button. I forget what it is. Now there's also going to be a microphone button. So if you highlight something on the screen, it'll listen to the audio that's playing on there and can tell you what song is
Dude.
potentially
Couldn't it just
playing.
do that based on like reading your audio output already?
No, this is different.
What do you mean? I don't
Like,
think
why
it
do you have
could
to circle it?
Maybe you don't have to circle it, but you're in that UI menu. And so like if you're playing a YouTube video that's not just the song and says the name and title on it, which is the example I saw used. But like if you're using like people are always saying, "What's the intro track to this MKBHD video?"
Okay.
You could start the video, open Circle to Search, the UI, press the microphone, and it'll listen to the song.
okay, yeah.
And then it'll pull the song.
Google
up.
Now on tap just won't freaking die. They come back.
It's
Over and
the
over
new version. It can still like hum songs and listen just in general, but it also can now listen to your on-device audio.
That's
I thought that was pretty sweet.
I miss Google Now on tap.
Apparently, it's coming out on some
Is it on
devices
Pixel?
already, but
Is it on
microphone?
Pixel yet, or
I have a
I
microphone.
don't know. There was somebody
but-
on a Samsung phone posted.
they said it's? He said it's in the Circle to Search
Yeah.
option.
That one right there.
No,
No,
that's what it looks like.
Oh, the music thing. Oh, is that what's
A
listening to
note.
your
Sorry, not a
onboard?
microphone. A music note.
I see.
It's next to the translate button.
oh,
That's what I'm
interesting.
trying to
Yeah,
say.
this is literally Google Now on tap.
Yeah,
This is bring it back.
I like it.
Me too.
All right. Well, we do have a little more to get to, which means we should take a quick break. But before we do, our second trivia question, please.
If you're watching the video, just enjoy that close zoom up on Ellis's face as the lights again did not go off.
I'm furious.
Sorry, bro.
Trivia
Second
question. How do you fix lights?
All right. So before Microsoft owned it, who bought Skype in 2005 for $2.6 billion? Billy with a B.
Someone bought
they
it
Bought it from Microsoft. Bought it from somebody else.
Yes.
When did they buy it?
2005.
So Microsoft's the one who's screwed up.
Oh, you
having-
mean when did
Oh,
the
100%.
first company buy it?
No, that's it. I just want to know who owned it during the pandemic and absolutely fumbled that ball and let Zoom
Microsoft.
take over. Yeah.
Microsoft.
Yeah, but they
did.
had Teams.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the horse they chose to ride. We saw how that went. Okay.
Enterprise, baby.
We'll think about that one. We'll think about that one. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh my God!
Did you wait until after just to see if it would work?
Yes!
It did.
All right, welcome back. I wanted to. It's not a game, it's a question. I realized that there's a way I consume YouTube content that might be kind of weird. And I want to see if any of you guys did, any of our audience did, and if any of you guys consumed YouTube weirdly.
While doing the
Like, not
Specifically YouTube or like any video?
I guess we could just say any form of content, media content online, something that
Consume it in a weird way.
in a weird way. Okay, I'll give you my example and maybe this will make more sense because I think I'm pitching this weird.
Yeah.
I've found myself a lot of channels that I'm super familiar with. Since I don't have time to just watch them that much anymore, I will just turn my screen off and listen to them in the car. But it could be something that is
Yeah.
extremely not. There are disc golf channels now I watch who play full rounds of disc golf that I listen to in the car because I've just learned to
Andrew,
know
you have
these
a
people
problem.
so well. Like there's this channel called Bedanza Disc Golf,
can, like,
and he
see it in
plays
your
like
head.
kind of the same courses pretty often, and he speaks the same way. And I'm like, I still want to know what discs he's throwing and how they threw and what he's thinking about doing that. So I'll listen to whole disc golf
really
videos
funny.
in the car.
Like an
because
audiobook.
my hour commute is when I have the most time to like consume content.
It's true.
It makes sense for things like more like small documentary ones. There's also a RuneScape channel I listen to all the time, and they just explain things well enough that I'll just listen to them instead.
Interesting.
That works with some channels, certain channels.
ASMR channels.
I know. I've definitely listened to YouTube videos in the car. That I've definitely done.
What kind?
Like Philip DeFranco videos are good.
That I've done that. I haven't in a while.
Because
It's like a podcast.
It's a podcast.
similar enough. Like there's not a ton of visuals I need. I'm just getting
Additional.
mostly news.
Yeah.
John Oliver, I do all the time.
John Oliver's
really?
good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better with video. All these things are better with videos, but I don't have time to sit down and watch all of the things I want to consume.
Gotcha.
You know why?
Baby.
David, you want to go?
Oh.
You know how you could get your time back? By watching everything at 2x speed.
Oh no.
Pretty much. So I don't listen to podcasts at 2x speed unless they're really boring, and then I
So
listen to them
Waveform.
at 3x speed, which I will tell you, I did have to condition my brain to be able to get used to, but now I've done it.
Wait, there is no real 3x speed, right?
Oh yeah, there is.
Wait. Oh, in
Pocket
podcast
Casts?
apps. Okay.
Pocket Cast offers up to 5x.
What kind of cycle? 5x?
Wait.
Yeah.
What's a podcast you listen to in 2x? I don't want to say 3x
I
because you
don't
said those
listen-
are boring.
Well, I don't want to.
Oh wait, sorry. No, yeah, no, I don't. I don't want you to call out
The boring one.
Yeah, the boring one.
Okay, imagine that podcast you listen at 3x speed. When's the last time you listened to it at normal speed?
When I first started listening to it.
Do you think you could accurately pick their voice out of like a lineup now that you're their normal voice?
The pitch is maintained on Pocket Casts.
I feel like
Yeah, Pocket
I
Cast
haven't
also has
listened
a skip silence feature.
Yeah.
So if there's a podcast where there's
Which-
not a lot of overlapping voices and there's a lot of dead air in between sentences, it will just trim silence.
Which
So
I don't-
definitely not ours.
it would trim the end of all of my sentences.
if
out.
you're listening to like, I don't think that that's a feature you should use.
That's terrible.
I use that one.
Really?
really.
Yep.
There's so much emotion in the silence.
This is true for certain types of podcasts.
If you've ever
I
listened
listen to a news podcast. All right, shout out to Isaac Saul. I listen to Tangled, the podcast, pretty regularly. It's a
I made him
sort of
start
an
that.
yeah,
know what
yeah.
that is.
Andrew put me onto it. I don't need the dramatic
disc golf
pauses. There's also
podcast?
not that many dramatic
No.
pauses. It's mostly news, so I can just get rid of the silence. That's fine. But if this was like reply all or like a story time type
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
you probably want to keep it.
Radio
How much
Lab
silence is in this
famously-
podcast?
Just enough to save 5 minutes every time.
5 minutes
Out of what?
That's a lot.
Out of 25, I don't know.
20% of the
Isaac's
podcast
newer
is
to he's
empty?
newer to podcasting. He's working on it.
Does it just sound like, and then there's this, and then there's this, and now I'm talking about this, and then there's this idea, and
No,
also
because
this?
I know it's
the words are the same speed. There's just no pause in between them. So it kind of sounds like this, where I'm just talking constantly, but there's not a whole lot of gap between the words.
And then
if
I
there was
come in
any,
really instantly, and then
That-
it goes right back to.
That hurts my
dude.
brain, man.
Yeah.
it's good.
This is
TikTok is
information
ruined us.
density.
well, this is the opposite of the TikTok meme of a Gen Z intern editing the like boss's video for work where they only edit in the pauses in between all of their words.
breathing.
It's just-
Well, I fully believe that YouTube videos, when you watch at 2x speed, you will not. It doesn't really feel like it's faster. It just feels like a video, and then you finish it twice as quick, and then you can absorb even more information.
As someone whose daily effort and energy goes into making YouTube videos sound good,
It still sounds good at 2x speed.
it absolutely does
No,
not.
it doesn't. It really doesn't. I've tried. I think you've gotten used to 2x, which is why you feel this way. But
Yeah.
as someone who has not,
See.
every time I try 2x, like when I hold down on YouTube, that's when it fast forwards, and I think that's 2x.
Yeah, every
so
time I
when
hear
I'm
you guys
fast-forwarding-
speak, it just sounds like you're at 0.5.
It
That's
took
what
me,
it's done to your brain.
It took me like 6 hours to do the audio for that Pixel
Pixel
intro. If someone sped through that, oh my god!
I will admit, I have Slack default set to 2x, the videos that play on Slack. So when I watched when I watched the intro
They're like
for the
4-second clips.
well, you know, when I watched the intro for Pixel, I was like, that's kind of weird. And then I was like, oh. So then I set it back to 1x, and then I watched
my
it. So if it's important, if the vibe and the
I
timing
was just going to
is
say
important-
that because we are the only ones here, I think, that watch at 2x speed everything.
Shout out to my homies out
And
there.
I do switch back to,
Everything?
I watch everything at 2x speed
Yeah.
or
Sports
1x.
highlights?
Yeah, 2x speed, everything.
Imagine
How
how
anxious are you guys?
How what?
really anxious, dude.
It's very anxious.
I have anxiety issues.
But if it's an important thing, like you're saying, I will just like I'm always mindful of it, so I just go back and switch it to 1x.
Very
and
demure.
or like if I'm listening to a podcast that I know they're doing like sound design, I go to 1x.
I'm imagining
You read books. Like, are you just reading a book, like tearing your hair out? Like,
I read really slowly, but audiobooks 2x speed, baby.
That's crazy. That's a big difference.
I'm imagining forgetting to turn it off and just like looking up a like minor home repair on my phone and then just being anxious everything's gonna like explode because it's like
You know what's funny too is because my YouTube is just default set to
Tutorials.
2x. I sometimes watch music videos or like listen to music on YouTube, and I'm like,
I gotta switch this back.
Music sucks these days.
I am so used
Why is
to.
every song 1 minute long? That's crazy.
I'm so used to 2x speed now. And then friend of the pod, David Pierce. I've been listening to like Vergecast, and he's always so quick with his like replies, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's like on it. And then I switched back to 1x speed, and there's so long of a
I was
pause between his answers.
Something feels like we're all talking faster talking about it right now. So someone
What do you mean?
listening to this at 2x, their speakers would probably explode.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Marquez, what's a weird way you watch YouTube?
Well, I don't do any of the, I don't do, yeah, everything's 1x for me, for sure. Wow. I don't know. I mean, most of my consumption is on mobile devices. That's totally normal, probably.
Totally normal.
I have YouTube Premium, so I haven't watched an ad on YouTube in years. That's technically not usual because it's like to 20%.
Technically.
But yeah, no, I'm
trying
just,
to think
I'm in it for the
for
love of the
you.
game. I watch everything 1x speed. I watch ads, mid-roll ads.
Like
I watch
integrations?
The whole
You watch the mid-roll ads?
yeah, it's part of the video. That's a
Damn,
joke.
he
I don't
really-
watch,
okay.
I don't watch mid-roll ads. No, I don't. I skip
Dude,
those.
there were some comments.
That would've
on-
been the weird
There were
thing.
some comments on the last podcast that were like, "Yeah, I watched the whole mid-roll just so you guys get more." And I was like, "I mean, that's dope, dude. I thank you, but
Love you.
Yeah.
That's some wild. You gotta have
appreciate
strong
it,
mental
yeah.
fortitude to do
I
that."
appreciate that attention span you flexing on us.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think I have anything crazy.
I bet Ellis has something.
in the
I got
bathtub.
one thing,
Okay.
which is it's kind of similar to you, Andrew. I watch a lot of stuff with the screen off, just taking it in. But NASCAR, of which I am a pretty big fan, where has most races that have ever happened on YouTube. Like,
Oh.
yeah, they're really cool about it. So if you go back to like 80s and 90s NASCAR races, back when it's like still like mostly in the deep south, like a much smaller sport, it's one of the most relaxing things to fall asleep to. Just like especially
Until it turns to
because
the WAN show afterwards.
they just like, yeah, right. But it's just like an announcer with like a thick Georgia accent, just being like, today's race is gonna be and then what's even great, like even better, is that there's no commercial, like it's the TV broadcast that's up.
Okay.
But there's no commercials in the TV broadcast, but they don't cut out the part of the race where the commercials would have been, because in theory then you'd be like missing 6 or 7 laps.
So it's silent.
It's not silent, it's just the sound of the cars. It's just the mics on the thing. So you get like 6 or 7 minutes of smooth southern accent, then like 2 or 3 minutes of just ambient cars and birds, and then a little more talking. And ooh, man,
Sounds nice.
it's so nice.
I like that.
Yeah, I might be the only person that falls asleep to naturally aspirated V8s, but
No, you're not. Miles definitely.
yeah, you're right. What am I talking about?
I remembered as you're saying that, whenever I have a good internet connection, I automatically go to the quality selector and select the highest possible quality I can without it buffering. And then I pause and I wait like 3 or 4 seconds for it to get a little ahead of me, and then I hit play.
I do the same thing.
Do you remember when you used to be able to do that for the whole video? Like, if you wanted it, it would buffer
wait.
the whole video.
Yeah, it doesn't buffer the whole video
I
anymore.
miss that.
Yeah. Yeah, YouTube's too smart now.
Yeah.
About auto
it's annoying.
throttling.
Did you guys, because this is a long time ago when they let you, like I remember letting the whole video buffer on like the OG YouTube app with the TV.
Yeah.
Did you guys know, based on your home internet connection, what chunk of the video had to be buffered in order to make it all the way through?
Oh yeah, you get a good sense.
That is like
Yeah.
creme de la creme. I am old.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids these days don't know about that progress bar on YouTube.
Adam,
Yeah.
do you have one? Just 2x speed.
2x speed. I think one that I've been doing recently also is picture in picture. So I've been like having the YouTube video minimized in the corner
You a
while I
pip
like
guy,
do other
huh?
things. Yeah, it's actually pretty great. Can't
Arc.
lie.
Speaking of that, you know what sucks? Google Messages had a picture-in-picture function where if someone texted you a YouTube video, you would click on it and it would automatically picture-in-picture in the corner, and they just got rid of it. And I'm like, why would you get rid of this? I'm assuming they just don't think people are using it. But the problem with a lot of Android apps, and this is a little bit of a rant, is that when you click a link from Google Messages, whether it's like a web link and it opens Chrome, or it's a YouTube link and it opens YouTube, it'll bring you to that environment as if it's a full app, right? And then you go back to your home, and then you go to open messages, and it's like it just opens Chrome.
Yeah.
And you have to hit
hate
back
that.
a billion times until it finally brings up messages again.
That's an Android thing, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating.
Yeah, I have found that annoying.
It doesn't just open up the separate app. It opens up like an instance of the app within messages that,
Like an in-app browser.
It's awful.
yeah.
It's better than
But it's not an in-app browser. It's like the full experience, but it just says that it's Google Messages, but it's not.
I think it's better.
frustrating.
It's still better than the iPhone equivalent, where like it's like, hey, this is better in the native app, and then you like hit the open app button,
And then it goes you to the App Store.
either the App Store, and then it'll be like, open this app because you
my
already
God.
have it, and then you hit that, and then it opens to the blank screen,
Yeah,
like,
I
and
forgot
you're just
what
like,
you
well,
did.
this was useless.
Every time you get a Reddit link on an iPhone, you click the Reddit. It's like it opens the in-app browser, and it's like, this is better than the app. And you're like, okay, and then it just opens the App Store. And then you click open on the Reddit app in the App Store, and then it just opens Reddit, but not to the Reddit link.
know,
And it's
it's-
impossible to
it's-
access a Reddit link.
It's such a shame that no one makes third-party Reddit apps.
Yeah.
That would be
Man,
great.
that would
Yeah,
be so
open
nice.
APIs. Maybe they should federate. I don't know.
I also hate, and this feels like a
Rhetoric.
really
Better.
easy thing to do, but the Google search bar widget is its own app rather than just Chrome.
Oh my god!
And so like I'll do full internet browsing sessions that started from a search in that, and then like do a couple other things, and later I'll just be like, where did all of that go?
It's gone.
Why does it not just throw it in a tab in Chrome when it's done?
I agree.
You have to know to do like open, like hit the little menu thing and like opening Chrome.
Oh, it's the
Yeah, you got to do
worst.
every. It's so frustrating.
worst.
That happens on iOS too.
Does
though.
it?
Yeah, because
Okay.
you have to. It'll have an in-app browser in a lot of cases. Like if you're on the Reddit app or something and you hit a link, it'll open in an in-app browser. Then you have to hit hamburger menu, open in browser, and then it opens up to keep things. It's frustrating.
Bad.
Don't do that.
Well, you know what we should do? Answer the trivia questions.
I was gonna say trivia, and I
oh, look, it worked!
It worked.
It worked this time.
We're back.
you were
You're
gonna
so
hit
back.
it. So I could go trivia, but you didn't hit it, and I just ended up sounding like a cat.
In 2009,
Thank you.
Twitter unveiled
You need one of these?
its verification program. It did this because it was sued by a 3-time champion of what sport?
Movies,
Movie sport.
actor,
Quit it. Mathematics.
Are we just naming sciences and arts now instead of dead Google products?
I don't know.
I was thinking the guy that did the Nikon commercials that used to Ashton Kutcher. Because
he an
remember when
athlete?
Ashton Kutcher and it was at CNN were racing for to be the first Twitter account to hit 1 million followers.
Oh yeah.
It was like I think it was Ashton Kutcher and CNN,
I
which is
forgot
really
about
funny. Yeah, that
What'd
was
you guys-
ancient days of Twitter.
Wow, I forgot about that too. All right.
Should've put
Let's
it.
do a little reading.
I wrote basketball.
Oh, I wrote baseball.
That is
Let's go.
correct.
Wow.
Dang boy! I also wrote basketball.
The
Wait,
answer.
I wrote b-ball. I was right.
When I saw you writing b-ball, I was like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't-
picture of a basketball.
Should have never drawn the basketball.
yeah.
The person in question is longtime manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, Tony La Russa, which if you Google a picture of Tony La Russa, he is the man who least looks like he even knows what Twitter is. This guy is like the epitome of like old dudes smoking cigarettes at a baseball diamond.
He was probably told by his grandkids that he was being impersonated, and then he was like, "I'm gonna sue them."
If I remember correctly, it's not just that someone was on Twitter with the name Tony La Russa pretending to be him, but they were also saying really bad things about the team that he was a coach of.
Oh,
Jeez.
Quick update on the score. Marquez with 16,
Falling behind.
Andrew with 19,
Jesus, man.
David with 17.
Did you give me my point?
Yeah, for everyone that yelled at me last week, I didn't forget to give it to him. I forgot to add it to the video.
Which means
so
you
he
forgot to
has
give it
the
to-
point, but it didn't update on the graphic.
I
Anyway,
need this one bad.
second question.
Who owns
Before
Skype?
Microsoft owned it, who bought Skype in 2005 for $2.6 billion? Billy with the B.
2005.
In
Where
2005.
did Microsoft buy this from?
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money, especially in 2005.
Who had 2 billion? gotta go with that. I don't know.
Flip them and read. What do you guys got?
I wrote AOL, which is
Nope.
Yeah, probably not.
Or Yahoo.
I almost wrote Yahoo as well.
I almost wrote AOL. So yeah.
They're the same
wrote
marketing anyway now.
Salesforce.
Nope.
No.
Good guesses.
Can you give us a hint that this doesn't count for points? I just
You know what? I'll still let it count for points. Screw it.
Ooh.
Here's the hint.
Ooh.
You
Just
can
whoever says it first.
What?
No.
No, rewrite it down.
Rewriting it?
down.
Oh,
we're rewriting it.
Rewriting it. Rewriting it.
Okay.
Here's the hint.
Okay.
You can buy things on it.
Also, they sold it once, or they sold 65% of it before Microsoft bought it. They were not the person that sold it directly to Microsoft.
you can buy things on it.
Temu.
Shein.
Shein.
I feel like my answer makes no sense.
Skype?
Andrew, I'm getting good vibes from you.
I don't.
Flip it.
Oh,
I wrote eBay.
That's correct.
Let's go.
I also wrote eBay.
That is also correct.
Bro. That means eBay owns Skype and PayPal. And then they
Oh my gosh.
Remember when they owned
Well,
PayPal?
so get this. Get
Marques,
this.
what'd you write?
That's crazy.
Amazon.
eBay made PayPal.
Oh, no.
No, Elon made PayPal.
Well, not made it, but like they made it.
Oh yeah. True.
That's every Elon conversation.
That's a good point. Elon like made Tesla. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't
But he
make
like
it.
made
But,
it.
like, made it, you know?
True. Such a good point. Yeah.
I'm losing now by a lot.
That's okay.
Good job, guys.
You're only down by 2 from David. You're down by 4 from Andrew.
That's like a multi-possession.
yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's like the clock is ending.
You got to start fouling, bro.
I know. I need to hack a shot.
Next time I'm writing,
Like hold the whiteboard down as it's answering.
Colin Steph Curry.
Well, assuming there's no free throws, I'll be losing for a little bit. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing, of course. And thanks for rating us wherever you guys listen to podcasts. I know we try to make this as good for audio listeners as possible, so we appreciate your feedback there as well.
try.
I just
Catch
got
you
a
guys.
notification that Pocket Cast added ratings. And I don't know if that's old or not because I, have been using Android now for like 10 days
Pocket
since
Cast.
the last time I was using Android.
I have Pocket Cast on iPhone, but I don't recall seeing ratings. So if
Yeah, I
that
don't
is in
remember
fact new, then feel free to give us a rating over there if that's your Pocket player of choice.
Which a lot of people do listen to us on podcasts.
Anyway, catch you guys next week. See you later.
Have fun with your dishes.
I won't be here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's going to be the Andrew and David show for 2 weeks straight.
Party.
2 weeks.
We're getting drunk.
I should mention, I guess I'll just mention before the chaos ends, the World Championships for Ultimate Frisbee that I told you guys about a couple months ago, that is coming up in the next 2 weeks. So I will be in Australia. I will be listening to Waveform, not participating. It's totally different time zone. I couldn't participate if I wanted to. So
No pressure.
I'll just fall further behind in trivia points and wish me luck. Okay.
Good luck
that's
on
it.
becoming a real world champion.
Thanks.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the plan
Someone's
anyway.
going to send you a screenshot of like Andrew and I, like the Elon photo of him smoking at the Joe Rogan experience.
What have they done?
Anyway,
All right. See you guys later.
bye.
Waveform is produced by Adam Molina and Ellis Ruffin. We're partnered with Vox Media Podcast Network, and our intro outro music was created by Vane Sill.
Bingo. Bad. No, don't do that. Social media really made people forget that their inside thoughts should just.
No, he said that live. Oh, it
was a press
He said it on NBC.
Yeah, but now
is
they're all
where
tweeting at
Tyreek-
each other,
Yeah,
right?
fair.
Yeah.